How's everyone doing?
Awesome.
Good. Good. Any wins, victories, gratitudes?
I have gratitude. I'm just grateful for this environment where we can surround, not just necessarily this office, but just the ability to surround ourselves with people that are wanting to improve, that are loving, and just genuinely want to improve people. And this office is a really good example of that. I mean, I don't think that very many people that, well, especially if you first start here, I don't think they really understand what, huh?
They don't feel comfortable?
Well, maybe at first they don't feel comfortable, but I don't think they really understand like how of a rarity this office is. And I mean, I don't want to talk bad about any other brokerages, but you go somewhere else, you'll recognize that pretty quickly.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you. Anyone else?
I'd just like to agree with Matt. I've worked in a bunch of different industries. I'm new to real estate, but I've worked, my wife and I own another business, and I've been a mechanic my whole life and done other things that I've never ever stepped into an environment like this. And I'm just super grateful for it. I love getting up in the morning and knowing that hey, I'm going to go be positively charged right off the bat. So it's awesome.
Yeah. Day going, isn't it?
Yeah.
Awesome. And hope you guys, not only listening to what is being presented, but you guys are the integral part of that. It's one thing where a message might be presented out this way, but what you do with that message, how you expand that message, how you also help your agents is what compounds it. The more you take on that responsibility, the better this office becomes. We can only do so much from the top down. It's what you guys take from that and then build upon it. It makes it that much better. And like anything else, things become infectious. Positive energy, negative energy becomes infectious. So if you're in an environment that is negative, it's going to be infectious. It's going to grow. If you're in an environment that's positive, it's infectious. It's going to grow. So that's what's beautiful about this whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, kind of to piggyback with what they're saying is, usually every year by December 15th, I'm like, all right, nothing else is going, no one else is working, it's a ghost town, and it's just nice to be around people in the office, especially down in our section, down on the first floor, where yesterday I didn't come in the morning, I worked from home, and when I came in the afternoon, everybody was like, hey, Tim, where were you? Like that accountability.
Exactly.
And it just keeps you, keeps you on it, because, my other brokerage, like, if I came in, I was,
you were the one that said yourself.
Yeah, so I love that, not just the positive environment, but that people are showing up a week before Christmas.
Awesome. Love that.
That must be in our brains, because I wrote down, the way I put it was, I'm grateful for the big three, you, John, and George, because the founders of all this, and because you guys make this fun. If I was at a boring real estate company, it'd be a bummer.
It would be a bummer.
It's definitely exciting and not boring.
That's great. Awesome.
Thanks for that.
Thank you. Well, I'll share a gratitude. So, I do love this time of year. I get the seasonal opportunity to wear a couple things, but this is the fantastic time of year. So every year we have an annual Christmas party, and at that Christmas party, it's you get together, of course, have food, get some friends, family together, but we have a Santa that comes every year, and the Santa, and we bring everyone has a gift to give to Santa, of course, and Santa is handing those gifts out to everybody in the room, big and little, and so everyone gets a present, and then once everyone has their present, I'll get to sit down and open it. I have 3 kids, an 18-year-old, a 4, and a 2, and so of course you're videotaping all of them that are there, trying to get the recording, and all 3 of my kids were great, but one stood out, my 4-year-old, and I'm going to share with you a little bit about it, but watching his reaction, from a parent's perspective of what his reaction and what it is, first of all, I didn't even know what it was. I had no idea what he was even chanting, but apparently it was exactly what he wanted, and he was extremely excited about that. So I'm going to share with you this, and we'll kind of tie into. Please don't tell me to start mode. I had it all worked out. There's going to go. No, we'll just start. I'll get over here. Anyway, and his overall enthusiasm for what it was, it just, this time of year, it is a great reminder that we're able to take the smallest and simplest little things, and we can decide how we want to respond to it. We can just say, that was kind of cool. Or we have the ability to just go crazy and how excited about whatever we're doing. It doesn't have to, the appointment that we set, the person that we get to talk to. Here it is. Anyway, he went on the rest. He starts going around everyone in the house. He starts taking the present. He's showing them, look what I got, look what I got. It's all. I mean, he spent literally 3 or 4 minutes going around to everybody, showing what he got. When his first reaction of this just complete, innocent enthusiasm, excitement, and reaction to respond with what he did. I mean, his natural reaction, he's jumping up and down like, God. It was just, as a parent, it just broke my heart on what he was doing. So it did. It reminded me of a couple of things that we do in this business. And a lot of it was mentioned earlier on, is we have the ability to be as excited or as enthusiastic as we choose to be. And something so simple, something so small, but just the sheer innocence of that person, he didn't let all the crap in the world get in his mind. He was real. And he responded to what a real response should be. But all of a sudden we grow up, we get old, we now have to be on our best behavior around certain people, because if we act a certain way, they're going to think that I'm kind of cuckoo. And so I can't act the way that I might want to act. And so we grow up and we lose that innocence, right? But who among us, let's be honest, if we were downstairs working in the pit and someone set an appointment, someone took a listing, someone did whatever it was, and that was their response, would we look at them and say, oh, he's cuckoo? Or would that energize ourselves and like, that was awesome. That was so cool to see how they responded, knowing that it was a true response. It wasn't an act. That was their true response if we looked at it. And all of a sudden, we were then able to benefit from their reaction and caused us to be more positive, more energetic, and kind of what we were talking about, it becomes infectious. So that was one thing that just stood out in my mind. Of sometimes we got to get rid of the adult thoughts and behaviors that we have and remember the way it used to be and go back to when it was being so innocent made all the difference in the world.
You just made me think of something. I was watching a video last night, and with the video you guys made. I don't know, have you guys all seen that?
Yeah, it's hysterical.
With you and Alicia and all that.
Oh, that video, yeah.
I was like, man, that's the funniest thing. Like, I guess I was out of town when it came out, but I was like, man, that's Rob stepping out of his comfort zone right there.
Yeah.
So it was,
Yeah, when we're talking about doing role playing and voice, exactly. That was.
have you guys all seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They shared it on Facebook.
I shared it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what. So that was at the awards breakfast that was earlier in the month. They rolled out the video then, and yes, it went on Facebook, and I heard it's gone viral.
You're
so.
famous now.
Or infamous. One of those two.
Or-
One of those things. So yes, that was fun. They were very creative with what they did.
That's the way to
But
step
that
out
was
of your
fun.
comfort zone. and
Yeah,
have fun.
that was fun. Just be able to enjoy yourself and kind of break through. So, but different thought that I had in mind. So, little story. There was a gentleman who not sure what country he was in. It doesn't matter. He came across an activity where you could go and ride elephants, and as he approached this area where they were going to go to get in line to take their turn to get on the elephant to go off for the ride, they noticed that there was an elephant that was kind of just off to the side, and it had a little rope tied around its leg, and the rope was connected just to a wood peg in the ground. The rope easily could have just gone like this. With the strength of the elephant, easily could have taken the peg out and walked off, done whatever it wanted to do. But it didn't. It just remained, it stood where it was, stood exactly in that position because that rope was tied, versus other elephants that were around that didn't have anything tied to it. They were wandering around, they were going and getting food over here, they were doing everything they wanted to do, but the one elephant that had the rope tied around its leg with the peg remained where it was. And so of course the gentleman went over to the trainer and asked, like, why is it that elephant does not just break that rope off? Easily it could do it, it's got enough strength for that to be the case. And so the trainer said, well, when they're young, that rope is exactly the same strength that is necessary where they can't break free. They are trained that rope will hold them to that spot, and it's strong enough when they're younger that it's not going to allow them to break free. And so as they grow older, they just believe that they can't do anything with it. And so the same strength is all that's necessary. So the moral of this story is, what are you believing that you can do or can't do? Are you stuck on a belief that you had when you were a kid, had a year ago, had 5 years, 10 years ago, that you tried something 5 years, 10 years, a year ago, yesterday, whatever it was? Did you try something that failed? And so because it failed then, means you would fail today. Because I'm here to tell you, more than likely, none of you are the same person you were yesterday, last week, a month ago, a year ago, 5, 10 years ago. You're a different person. And the person that tried back then, maybe they weren't able to do whatever you're trying to accomplish. But have you grown? Have you learned? Have you set different limitations within yourself that have now caused you to figure things out that you couldn't figure out back then? If you were to remove these limiting beliefs that you might have, what would you be able to accomplish? What is this goal that's out that you have that is so incredible that if you were to achieve that goal, it would remove all this stress, all this anguish and pain that you might be experiencing because of this one thing that you wanted to accomplish? That if you could accomplish that, it would almost be like untying a balloon. The balloon would just take off. What is that limiting belief? And the question, going back to, is what is your belief in what you're able to do? What's standing in your way from preventing you from achieving it? So similar to the thing that, we might have that rope that's around our leg and it prevents us from moving forward. But if we look at the opportunity to be able to, you know what? It's very simple to just cut it. It's very simple to untie it. And if we did, where would we be? This time of year is incredible for allowing us to have a different perspective than we look at. You know, we have the opportunity of spending a lot of time with friends, family. We are given more opportunities to focus on other people rather than focusing on ourselves, which, by the way, for those of you who didn't see a lot yesterday, all of the toys and things that were brought in by all of you that is going to helping families around and kids in the valley. Our foundation that we have, we've spent thousands of dollars helping, contributing with inner city kids, basically providing opportunities for children that are much less fortunate than we are, and your involvement in that is going to make some kids extremely happy this year. So thank you. But it's an incredible time of year where we are able to stop focusing on ourselves, maybe just for a short while. And when we stop focusing on ourselves and focus on others or other people, what are we able to become? And who do we become in the process? That's when we grow the most, and when we start looking at opportunities to improve. And many of the time, the way that we improve is because we are focused on others. We're not focused on ourselves. And so this time of year is an incredible opportunity to be able to shed that skin that you've been trying to shed. We're at the tail end of a year. Maybe this year was exactly what you'd hoped it would be. Maybe it wasn't. And we're approaching a time to be able to start over fresh. And what do you want that next year to look like? If you haven't sat down, we're going to talk a little more about this next week, but if you haven't been thinking about what you want to accomplish next year, putting that on paper, being prepared to do that, this is an incredible year to just reflect, start over fresh, and get rid of those limiting beliefs that is holding you back.
Yeah, I think it's in the Success Manifesto. Do you know the story about the monkeys and the fire hose?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And actually, maybe I heard it from you. But the story basically is that there's these monkeys that are introduced into this room, and there's a pole that goes to the top, and I think there's bananas at the top. And so a monkey's introduced to this room, he starts climbing up, and they take a fire hose and they just spray him down. Every time he goes for the bananas, they spray him down, and eventually he stops, just like the elephant, right? And then they introduce a new monkey, and he's basically stopping him from going up. And they keep on putting more monkeys in here, and they start rotating out the old ones. And the ones that saw that the fire hose would spray them are completely eliminated. And there's only monkeys that had been stopped by other monkeys from climbing up to the top, don't know why they can't go to the top. But basically, every time a new one's introduced, all the monkeys are pulling them down and saying, no, you can't get the bananas. You can't get the bananas, and keep them to the bottom. And, it's interesting with what we're trying to accomplish, not only our own beliefs because of maybe our past experiences, but also the people around us and their beliefs. If everybody believed what we wanted, that thing that you're talking about, the thing that we want to accomplish, if everybody around us believed that it was possible and that we were also capable of doing it, then it's very possible that we could just accomplish that with ease.
Without a doubt. You guys know what those? You see these periodically across the road. It's like a cattle grate. So those metal grates that are across the roads, and of course those are there. So if any type of cattle were to walk across, it'll they get their hoof, whatever, hoof stuck in it, and so of course they don't do that. It's the same. They have the visual cattle ones as well, where it's just painted lines.
That's crazy.
And where it has the same effect visually on preventing the cattle from moving across. Obviously it's not 100%, but the majority of the time it holds that cattle back until one of them crosses. Once one of them crosses and says that, oh, I can do that, all of a sudden the gates just start opening. So are you that one cattle? Are you the cattle? Are you the 8 cow woman?
Yeah.
Some of you might understand that. That's a positive thing, believe it or not. I'm just going to leave it at that. It is a positive. But are you the one that's going to be able to cross across that grate and let other people follow you? Or are you going to be the one that's going to stay behind and let that gate prevent you from accomplishing what you want to accomplish? Think about that. 2019 is amazing. Well, let's make 2020 even better.
Yeah, there's so many incidents, like the 2-minute mile. It just goes on and on. So
The
just-
2-minute mile or a 4-minute mile? That would be
That's
incredible.
like the 4-minute mile, yeah.
I mean, 4
Where-
minutes is already incredible.
Well, where
Yeah.
someone said, oh, if you do that, you'll die.
Bannister, correct.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so.
fantastic.
I gave the illustration in the Toastmaster talk that I gave, but I don't think most of the people in here were there, but I brought some boys into a weight room that we had, and I told them, I put $100 on the table and said, if anybody can lift, it was a leg press, if anybody in the room can lift the entire stack of weights, which was 900 pounds, if anybody can do that, I'll give them this $100. And all the boys were killing themselves trying to get to the weights to be first to lift that entire 900 pounds, but none of them could do it. And when they'd all tried, they'd given up, and because I told them that it was impossible, nobody had ever done it before, but if they could, I'd give them the $100. And when all of them had tried, I took the $100 back and I sat down and I did it 45 times. And I told them, it's real easy, you try it again. And every one of them, even the little scrawniest 65-pounder, was able to do it. I think he did it 5 times. But one of them did it 46 times, beat me. But they had it in their head that they couldn't do it.
Wow.
That the money didn't matter, nothing mattered, but they had it in their head they couldn't do it.
That's awesome. That's a great lesson. Make 2020 better than 2019. You guys can do it. There is nothing that is standing in your way except you. Set in your mind that you can accomplish anything that you choose to accomplish. That you can make 2020 anything you want 2020 to be. 2019 was amazing. Make it even more amazing. You guys are able to do that. Okay? Let's finish up.